Jennifer is a sophomore. She works 30 hours a week, shares a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 others, and still had to skip meals last semester. Her FAFSA flagged an error she didn't understand, and by the time it was resolved, her classes were dropped. No warning, no refund. This isn't rare. It's routine. What happens when a student can't make their tuition payment or skips meals to afford a textbook? Hello, I am your host, Maya Quinn, and in our third presidential podcast on student affairs, our topic today is Beyond the Bill: Rethinking Financial Aid Through Student Affairs. Financial aid isn't just a budget line, it's a lifeline. And increasingly, student affairs is stepping in to address the emotional, logistical, and ethical dimensions of student finance. Today, our roundtable turns to this question: what would it mean to redesign financial aid through a student affairs lens? Joining me today are 3 campus leaders reshaping that conversation. Dr. James Whitmore, president of Brookhaven College, a small, private liberal arts institution on the East Coast. Dr. Monica Alvarez, president of St. Bridget's University, a Catholic college grounded in faith and service. And Dr. David Lang, president of Midland State University, a large public research institution serving over 30,000 students. Together, they'll explore what it would mean to redesign financial aid, not from the spreadsheet up, but from the student outward. Let's begin.
I'll say it plainly. Our financial aid system is built for institutions, not for humans. At Brookhaven, our own internal study showed that the biggest spike in student withdrawals came not from academic failure, but from confusion and anxiety over aid renewal. And most of those students never asked for help. So we partnered with Student Affairs to launch what we call financial navigation teams. Trained staff now walk students through every form, deadline, and appeal, and we track financial literacy as a core success outcome. The FAFSA is no longer just a form. It's a conversation.
Absolutely. At St. Bridget's, we frame this as a ministry of presence. Financial stress is often cloaked in shame. So we train our RAS, advisors, and even chapel staff to gently surface financial concerns and connect students early. One of our best reforms came after reading Klein's retention study. We created a student resilience fund. It's a small, quick turnaround grant up to $500 for emergencies, car repairs, childcare, even a stolen laptop. No red tape, no judgment. It's one of the most pastoral things we've done in student affairs.
At Midland State, the issue is scale. We serve 30,000 students, many of them Pell eligible, first gen, and commuting. Financial aid offices can't do it all. So Student Affairs stepped in with a proactive aid advising model. We identified high-risk financial aid students through predictive analytics, low GPA, high unmet need, prior drop/add activity, and assigned them to success coaches trained in both advising and aid literacy. The result? Our fall to spring persistence rate jumped by 8% in just 2 years.
Let me add, aid must be ethical. We're now reviewing all our merit scholarships through a justice lens. Are we rewarding privilege? Are we unintentionally penalizing undocumented students or those with erratic transcripts due to instability? Student Affairs helped push us to move from merit versus need toward mission-based equity awards.
And let's not forget the hidden curriculum of financial aid, understanding loan repayment, budgeting, cost of living. We now run a money and meaning workshop series led by Student Affairs, not finance. One of our most popular sessions? Faith, Debt, and Forgiveness. It's interfaith, it's vulnerable, and it changes lives.
One more thing. We now include financial aid staff in wellness strategy meetings. Why? Because students in financial precarity are often also at risk of mental health struggles. It's time we stop pretending these systems are separate. They're deeply intertwined.
What role should students themselves play in reshaping financial aid systems? And how can student affairs help elevate that role?
Students aren't just recipients of aid, they're experts in its lived consequences. At Brookhaven, we formed a student aid advisory board made up entirely of undergraduates from diverse backgrounds. They've helped us rethink communications, appeal processes, even the language we use. Student affairs ensures their voices aren't just heard, but implemented.
Yes, and at St. Brigid's, we believe testimony is transformative. We train students to share their financial journeys at trustee meetings, donor events, and orientation. Student Affairs creates the scaffolding, safe spaces, story coaching, emotional support, so those voices don't get lost in translation. When students speak, systems shift.
At Midland State, students co-lead our financial literacy workshops and redesign aid materials. They tell us what's confusing, what's condescending, and what actually works. Student Affairs backs them with stipends and leadership training because equity means paying students for their expertise, not just thanking them for their courage.
If financial aid were redesigned from scratch today, with student affairs at the helm, what principle would you put at the center?
Trust. Too much of our current system is built on suspicion, prove your need, defend your worth, jump through hoops. That mindset is corrosive. It tells students that we expect them to cheat or fail before we expect them to succeed. If we were rebuilding from the ground up, I'd begin with radical trust in students' intentions and resilience. At Brookhaven, our student affairs team leads with that assumption, and it changes everything. From how we respond to missing documents to how we interpret appeals, trust shifts the tone. We stop asking, "Why didn't you do this?" and start asking, "How can we help?"
Dignity. The aid process is often dehumanizing, long waits, complicated jargon, rejection without explanation. If we want a system worthy of our students, it must honor their full humanity at every step. That's why we redesigned our financial aid office at St. Brigid's. It now feels like a living room, not a DMV. We offer coffee, soft seating, and trained peer navigators who welcome students with warmth. But it goes deeper. Our forms use respectful language. Our staff undergo pastoral care training. Student Affairs understands that systems speak, and ours should say, "You matter."
Clarity. I've said it before. No student should need a degree in bureaucracy to pay for college. Complexity is not a sign of rigor. It's a failure of design. If I were starting fresh, every aid policy would have to pass a plain language test. Can a first-year student explain this without a parent, lawyer, or accountant? If not, it doesn't go live. At Midland State, Student Affairs is now embedded in policy drafting because they know how students think, what overwhelms them, and how to simplify without dumbing down. They're not just the messengers. They're the watchdogs and the architects.
Before we end, I'd like to invite one final reflection from each of you. In your view, what is the most significant danger to the future of financial aid? And how should student affairs respond?
Commodification. When we reduce aid to a transactional line item, we lose sight of education as a public good. The danger is thinking aid is just a discount, not a promise. Student affairs must keep insisting that aid is part of our ethical obligation, not just a recruitment strategy.
Despair. I worry that students, especially first-gen and undocumented ones, are internalizing the message that the system isn't for them. The danger is silent withdrawal. Student affairs must remain a visible presence of hope, reminding students they belong and we believe in their future.
Fragmentation. Too many systems, too many portals, too little coordination. Students get lost in the maze. The danger is that well-meaning departments operate in silos. Student affairs must be the connective tissue, the ones who refuse to let the left hand forget what the right hand is doing.
Finances shape futures, but dignity shapes persistence. And in this moment, when too many students are one glitch, one fee, one form away from walking away, it's student affairs that steps forward, not just with support, but with systems. They remind us that aid isn't just about dollars. It's about design, about presence, about promise. And perhaps we need to return to first principles, as Thomas Jefferson once wrote. An educated citizenry is a vital requisite for our survival as a free people. If we believe that, then financial aid is not charity, it is democracy in practice. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Presidential Podcast on Student Affairs. I'm your host, Maya Quinn. Until next time, let's keep building institutions where every student feels seen, supported, and able to stay.